Welcome to Design30. My name is Jason Bilyeu, and in this podcast, I provide design strategies and tools to improve creativity, innovation, and overall design confidence. Good morning, everyone. Well, at least it's morning for me. I'm actually recording this Monday morning, so it's, you might say it's a little last minute, but I had a great weekend. I was actually at a transformational leadership course with my wife. She's in the National Guard, and so that was part of the National Guard training for her and for family members as well. So I got to go along on that. And yeah, it was pretty great, but it was a busy weekend. So here I am recording this episode Monday morning, actually. So it's nice and early. My goal is to release episodes every Monday. So this reminded me, or I was thinking about it last night, it reminded me of Seth Godin and how he always talks about how streaks matter. It's, when you're trying to start something new, when you're trying to start something creative, you need to have, it's good to have streaks. You set up a time where you're going to show up and do the work. Especially, he talks a lot about this in his book, The Practice. So you got to show up to the practice. You got to show up to the work, and that comes from building a schedule and being consistent and creating a streak. If you have released something every Monday for the past, 10 years, you're very likely to show up or wake up a little bit early to get something released, to get something done. Maybe on a Monday when your weekend was super busy. And I haven't released episodes for the last 10 years, obviously, but that's the goal. So I need to show up and show up to the practice so I can, ship the creative work. That's the goal. We'll see how creative I can be this morning at nice and early, about 5:30 a.m. So my voice may not be quite as chipper as usual, or maybe it always sounds like this. I don't know. You guys can be the judge of that. But anyways, so I had a great weekend. Beautiful weather. I don't know where you're listening to this at, but if you're anywhere in probably the North Pacific part of the United States, the weather has just been beautiful for the last few days. So unfortunately, we were inside for a lot of it this weekend, but we also got outside. I got a little bit of sun, maybe a little too much sun on my bald head, but you have to burn it at some point. That's kind of how I feel. You got to build up a resistance to it, get that tan going. So I started this weekend. Hopefully it's not too bad and doesn't peel too much. Anyways, that's enough about me. Enough about how my weekend went. Something that I wanted to talk about this morning is something that actually I had seen a reel on Instagram of this quote from Steve Jobs. And then it was also very much reiterated and reconfirmed in a lot of ways, not specifically, but in a lot of ways at this transformational leadership conference. So the quote from Steve Jobs goes like this: "The greatest people are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. Once they know what to do, they'll go figure out how to do it. What they need is a common vision." And that's what leadership is. Having a vision, being able to articulate that so people around you can understand it, and getting a consensus on a common vision. So this was something that one of the speakers talked about, was this idea of a common vision, and how it's one of the key things that a leader needs to do at their company, what they need to do for their group they're managing, what they need to do for maybe you just started a small business. Maybe you need to do it even just for yourself. Obviously, you don't want to micromanage yourself. I don't even know how that would work, but maybe you can do it. But you need to have that vision for your startup. You need to have that vision for your small business you're running. And then I think it probably becomes even more and more a part of the job for the CEO of a large company. I think later on in the same interview, Steve Jobs says a lot of what he does as CEO of Apple is just be that vision person and make sure that everyone in the company is on the same page with that vision. And I also like how he says that a lot of people don't really need to be managed. He says the greatest people are self-managing. So if you have people that you've given a clear and concise vision, which leads to clear and concise tasks, it gives them clarity on the day-to-day and how they should prioritize their work, they're going to take off and do that on their own. They're self-motivated people. They're interested in doing amazing good work. They care about the company. They've bought into the vision of the company. They're going to be just fine. You don't need to go in each day and try to motivate them and give them incentives and constantly be involved in checking their work and make sure that they are getting in what they need to get done. You need to be able to give that vision. This is where we're going. This is where we need to be as a company or as a group in that company. And if you're supplying that vision and if you're hiring, good people or A players, I think as Steve Jobs would like to call them, you're not going to have problems. You're going to have problems of some kind, but you're not going to have problems getting them to do their job. Essentially, these people are already self-motivated. So once you put that vision in front of them, they're going to go out and get it. They're going to go out and do whatever they can to make that vision come true. As long as you're being clear about it, it's not constantly changing. It's not something that they have a hard time grasping. And it's not something that they have a hard time understanding their role in. I think sometimes companies have a vision, or at least they have a phrase that they call their vision, but you probably don't really know what your role is in accomplishing that. You may not see on a day-to-day basis how you're actually, I don't know, how is what I'm doing today actually impacting this vision overall for the company. And you really don't want people who you're working with or who are working for you feeling that way. That's going to, in my opinion, that's going to breed negative attitudes. That's going to breed a little bit of maybe distrust, or again, it's just this lack of clarity. People don't see how what they're doing pushes the vision of the company forward. And another example from this weekend that was given by this main speaker was he was talking about, I think it was a car dealership or something like that, and how one of the janitors actually came up to him. I think he was consulting with this company to help try and improve sales, whatever the goal was for bringing him in as a consultant. But he was talking with the janitor, and they said, I don't feel like this company is going anywhere, or I don't feel like we have the same vision that we used to, essentially. And this was coming from the janitor who, they're probably not sitting in on all of these vision meetings. So obviously the vision of this company, the goals of this company aren't working their way throughout the company. People don't know what the vision is. It should be tangible. Because in that quote, it also sounds like they used to know what the vision was. They used to believe in this company, but something had obviously changed to where they're like, yeah, we don't have it like we used to. We don't have this vision. We're not going somewhere. It doesn't feel like we're going somewhere. And so that just shows, I thought it was a good example of how this sort of mindset, if you have a lack of clarity or lack of vision being pushed in the company, that's going to trickle down through almost everyone. I mean, everyone in the company at some point is going to feel that in some shape or way, especially if they're people who actually care about the company. I mean, if there's someone who's just coming in for a paycheck, then maybe they could care less. They're not motivated anyways. You're probably not going to be able to motivate them. They're just there punching the clock. But if you have people who actually care about the company, they care about the products that you're making, they care about the impact that your company either is having or could have on the world, those are the people that you really need to make sure that they have the vision in front of them, that you're keeping that clear and keeping that motivation in front of them. Again, these motivated people don't need you to manage them on a day-to-day basis, and they don't need you to incentivize them on a day-to-day basis, but they need to know what that vision is, and they need it clearly. I think that's the other big part of it. It needs to be clear. Sometimes you have this long, convoluted vision, or you sprinkle in ideas of the vision during your 1 month meeting updates or a quarterly meeting updates, and you feel like you're getting your vision out to the company, but no one actually could articulate it to you or back to you, and it's not really driving the way people work. It's not driving decisions made by maybe lower level managers and even just people, all of the people in the company, people from the production floor to purchasing to inventory to sales and engineering. You need this vision to be something that they all could articulate in some way, shape, or form. Maybe they would all put it slightly differently, but that same vision should be understood throughout the company. So one more time, I'm just going to read this quote by Steve Jobs. "The greatest people are self-managing. They don't need to be managed. Once they know what to do, they'll figure out how to do it. What they need is a common vision. And that's what leadership is, having a vision, being able to articulate that so the people around you can understand it, and getting a consensus on a common vision." So I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this morning. Just a few thoughts on leadership and how vision and providing a common vision, a consensus on a common vision is a huge part of what you do as a leader in your company. In this case, it was as a leader in the National Guard. It could be as you lead yourself with your own startup. You need to have a good vision for your startup, for yourself. So I hope that is a good way to start off your week. If you are managing people, if you're leading people, if you're leading yourself, make sure to work on this vision and make sure it's clear. Make sure it's something that there is a consensus on what the common vision is. And again, make sure there's clarity in that vision. Okay, well, I hope you've all been okay with my somewhat sleepy voice. And I think I've got some allergies going on with spring coming. So I think this episode might have been a little bit more nasally than usual, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it there for now. As always, you can find Design30 on Instagram, on YouTube, and you can become a subscriber to the Design30 Substack. And that's it. You can find me. I'm out there. Just look up Design30. We'll leave it there for today. As always, remember, design more, despair less. Thanks for listening.